Should you summon for Praetus tomorrow, or should you save your summons, skip Praetus, and summon for Valderon in 2 weeks' time? That is the biggest question in Watcher of Realms right now. If you didn't catch it, I put out a video earlier on today, basically 100% hard confirming that Honora is coming as the next limited exclusive 200 hero. That will be our fourth time getting a rerun on a limited hero in this game. And then on top of that, there were a ton of clues that Valderon will be coming alongside her. It's also very likely that when Valderon comes on his banner, he'll be paired with Ymiret, though that cannot be confirmed, but it's really likely. So this is the big question. It was kind of a no-brainer for many people. Everyone kind of knew already, were we going to go for Praetus tomorrow or not? It all depends on your account, but I think a lot of people had spent the week thinking about it. I was still going to put this video out, but it would have been a little bit simpler. I am going to try to make this pretty simple, and I actually think it's not that hard to make that simple, even though the question is more, complex, because it is Pope versus Valderon. First best hero in the game versus third, however you want to look at it. Maybe Ingrid's the first best hero in the game. I don't know. But there's the big three. That's what we like to talk about in Watcher of Realms, right? It's Praetus, it's Ingrid, it is Valderon. So that is the banner tomorrow. We've got Praetus paired with Ymiret. So right off the bat, I want to talk about this consideration. Praetus is a Legendary Lord rate hero. That is his rarity class. Ymiret, I know that's obvious, but we have to get into the simple stuff. Ymiret obviously is not. He is a Legendary rarity hero. That's his class of rarity. If and when Valderon is on rate up in 1 or 2 or 3 weeks, and he likely is paired with Ymiret, even though Ymiret is not a Legendary Lord like Praetus and Valderon, he is an unnameable, one of the dragons, and his rarity for summoning, the bucket he's in, is classified as Legendary Lord. So he's actually in the same group as Valderon. So why am I talking about this now at the beginning? Well, just to get it out of the way, if you hit Legendary Lord rate on this Praetus banner over here, it is going to be more likely you get Praetus than if in 2 weeks' time you hit Legendary Lord rate on the Valderon Ymiret banner, because there's two within the same rarity class within that Legendary Lord bucket that are on rate up. So with Praetus, it should be somewhere about a 38 to 40% chance you get him on this banner. For the other guys, it's going to be closer to like 25 to 30% each. So if you specifically are just wanting to target one of them, it's more likely if you hit Legendary Lord bucket that on this banner you'll get Praetus, than on the next banner you'll get Valderon. However, if you would be quite happy getting Valderon or Ymiret, then that banner becomes better, because you'd have you have a better chance to hit one of those two if you hit Lord rate than if you hit just Praetus hitting Lord rate on this banner. Okay, we got that out of the way, so let's actually compare the two. I've put out a good amount of content on both these guys. If anyone wants an updated showcase or guide and you have a specific idea, you can let me know in the comment section below. However, for now, let's just do it super duper duper broad strokes, like 30 seconds on each. Praetus has the most unique Lord skill in the game. Yes, Elysia can do it too, but for him it's super special because it's the Legendary version, and he's the only Legendary Lord of his faction. It's the only faction in the game right now that has only one Legendary Lord. On top of that, very underrated. He does not just big damage from his ult, but he actually does good damage from everything else. A nice mix of magic damage and true damage, and damage over time in a true damage form with Radiant Erosion. And it's not just single target. With Chain of Fate, he does get a kind of a bursty, jumpy AoE capability. So not straight AoE, but he's just really potent, and there's a reason he's the Pope. He's the most hyped guy in the game. He also fits in very well with his faction. It's hard to start filling out these factions. You can see I'm not on my account right now. However, once you do, and you get a whole Arbiter team going, it's the most meta thing for so much endgame content, right? I mention that because Valderon is the total opposite. Nothing about his kit leads him to benefit from having a single other chaotic unit with him. He can help a couple chaotic units, but none of them help him. He is at full potential by himself, which for a lot of content makes him uniquely, disgustingly powerful, because he's the best solo do-it-all unit in the game. You can run a full chaotic faction comp with just him as the only chaotic unit. He suffices. He's that strong. He can't die. Ridiculous damage. He's just that special, right? However, in the grand scheme of things, later on in the game, it's all about factions, right? So he's the best progression faction unit in the game because he himself is an entire faction. He is all you need. But later on, it's a big sacrifice to bring him where chaotic is not, meta in a lot of content, especially boss content, very meta in PvP, but really not in boss content, which a lot of people care the most about. So he's going to fall off in that respect, whereas Praetus is equally good, I would say, if not more, in PvP, and he still is, of course, completely dominant and OP in all boss content. So I've kind of already played my hand here, but I do think Praetus, and I don't think anyone can argue with me, Praetus is the better hero. If you want to argue with me, I'd love to have a polite discourse about it in the comments, but I think, Praetus at worst is the second best hero in the game. It's him and Ymiret, and I think Valderon is clearly the third best lord. However, I think there is quite a gap. That doesn't mean Valderon isn't amazing and special and all that stuff, but, just if you don't have either, Praetus is really the craziest game changer. I'll say the one consideration to make, as you progress, Valderon might be the best hero in the game because he's just going to be able to easily and mindlessly slot into all content. However, once you have a full roster and you have heroes that can do all different kinds of things, Valderon actually becomes really specific. You might use him in a Guild Wars defense, you might use him for some BP affiliation, and then you'll certainly use him in single target arena, especially if you have some awakenings on him. But aside from that, he's not going to have a clear place in your roster in a lot of content. Whereas the deeper you get into the game, the more you'll realize you start leaning on Praetus if you've got him. Trust me, I know. I've done a million takeovers, but I personally do not have Praetus, so I know what it feels like to have him and not to have him. He only grows in power, and he's already stupidly powerful to begin with. One thing I will say in defense of Valderon, his kit reads and functions in a way that should scale really, really well. Not that Praetus won't, but should scale really well with potential future content. So we don't know what this tower is going to look like. Easily, you could see him dominating that. He completely dominated Void Rift Epilogue, which was like one of the hardest things in the game right now. So you could see as they add more and more stuff, he's not going to get worse. He could probably get better and more useful for more endgame content. But as it stands now, Valderon is fantastic. Praetus is just fantastic-er. So, should you summon? I think we covered all our bases there. Should you summon? Let me walk you through a little thought experiment. So we've got a little decision tree. All right, so the first situation, I've got 3 situations, and then situation 2 has a part A and a part B. But it's really easy. This is going to be simple, guys. You have neither of them. So you don't have Valderon. You do not have Praetus. In that case, you know what I'm going to say? Go for Praetus. That's what I'm doing. I don't have either. And to me, it's very obvious, I think. Go for Praetus. Also, we didn't really touch on it, but if you care about endgame stuff and that's kind of pushing you in one direction or another, getting Ymiret dupes is so important if you like Guild Wars. I mean, he is the king of BP, and you're going to want Awakenings on the guy. And even once you have an A5 Ymiret, if you get there one day, you'll want to start building up another copy. So Ymiret is a great guy to have paired because it's just an instant, easy win. He will be relevant. Good hero to have on the rate up. So if you don't have either, you got neither of them. For me, go for Praetus. It's that simple. Next up, you have one of them. I think you know what I'm going to say. It's that simple. Go for the other. Just because Praetus is better than Valderon in a lot of things and more universally applicable to a lot of the content we have in the game right now, that doesn't mean Valderon's a slouch. Valderon is completely and utterly dominant. And even if you only have A0 Praetus, dupes or soulstones can come in time. Getting that initial base copy to build out of Valderon is so much more important. So if you just have Praetus, you have one of them and it's just Praetus, you simply go for Valderon. If you just have Valderon, obviously you go just for Praetus. All right, now last one. This might upset some people. You have both. I really do think it's this simple. Skip both. You already got a copy of each. This does not apply to like huge spenders or people that maybe saved up so much. I'm talking many hundreds of ancients, like let's say 500-700 plus ancients, or a spender that's willing to get that over the coming month or months. Unless if that isn't you, then you just skip them. You have your base copies, you're fine. You can slowly build them up over time. This game rewards patience in a pretty major way. You skip. So why do you skip? Let's actually talk about that quickly, and then we can already end the conversation here and bring it home. Well, frankly, I think the goal of the game right now, the way Watcher of Realm exists, with how stale the PvP meta is, you need at least one copy of Praetus, Valderon, and Ymiret. That is such a key, important thing. When it comes to Soulstones, and once you have those 3 in hunting dupes, then there can be nuance. But in my opinion, the first goal is get one copy of each. Once you have copies, and especially if you have Soulstones, then I would say The next goal is either get your A1 Praetus or skip the A1 Praetus and just focus straight away on getting A3 Ymiret. Gun to my head, if I had A0 Praetus and A0 Ymiret and I had 2 Soul Stones, I would just wait. I think you want to get 1 copy of each, and then you want to get an A3 Ymiret, then you want to get an A1 Praetus, then you can start thinking about getting an A3 Valderon. I really think that's the route I personally would go, and I certainly think that's how important it all is. You could also make a pretty strong argument. After you have those 3, you shouldn't be summoning and hunting for dupes. I don't think I would do that unless I got very ancient summons rich all of a sudden, which is a feeling I've never felt. But, after that, you go, all right, I'd love to pick up Cyrus. I would love to pick up a Yovar. If you don't have Torador, you got to grab a Torador. At this point, you got to get Soul Cadence. With Abyss 1 and after his buff, you're going to definitely want to get a Soul Cadence. So I just think you need the base copies of the key units. That should always be your priority, so you want to be filling in the gaps you don't have. And that's why I find this decision tree so clean. The final thing we have to talk about is there is a new Legendary Lord coming that I know nothing about, but is heavily rumored. I've heard mentioned maybe she could be an Arbiter. I don't buy that. I've heard maybe she could be an Esotericist. I've heard that the most. I mean, I don't know. Already going to 3-in-1 faction. I would think maybe, is it a new faction? It's hard to know. It's hard to imagine. But it's apparently there's at least an image out there. So something's coming. So if you have, Praetus and Valderon, hold out for the Ymiret banner. If you already have all 3 of those, maybe hold out for the Ymiret banner to get dupes. Or if you have all 3, maybe you're good there. Hold out for a Yovar banner or a Cyrus banner, Torador, Soul Cadence, something like that. Or maybe be really conservative, wait and see what the next Legendary Lord is. Because yes, it could be another Rygar, who though he's kind of shown his face and shown his virtue recently in Abyss 1, he's not that special, in my opinion. Or it could be the one before him, which is Ymiret, who has a strong case to be the single best hero in all of Watcher of Realms. So simply put, I really think this is your basic math. I would not be summoning for Awakenings. I really wouldn't, unless you're a major spender. So this is what you should do. There you go. If you have any more pointed questions, you can let me know in the comment section below. I will be summoning for Praetus tomorrow. If you want to hear my full banner breakdown, I covered that like 2 or 3 days ago. You can go check out that video. And yeah, tomorrow we're going to have a big pulls party. As of filming, we had like 30 signups. I do envision it will be a little bit less because I think some people, now that they know Valderon's coming, might skip, depending on their specific account. But your friend over here, Fastidious, I'm definitely going for it. I think I've got like 150 summons. So I don't think I can get to pity, but I've gone to pity at 4 of the last 5 times. So maybe this time I won't. All right, this isn't my account. I'll put a picture up from my account. I've got like 157, I believe. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Fastidious. If you like my stuff, please like it, share it with your mother, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.